All this action from the SA SBK series is proudly brought to you by NGK Spark Plugs, Bridgestone Tires, and Rapid Bike Tuning. Redstar Raceway sees the fourth round of this championship light up, and when I say light up on a purpose-built motorcycle circuit, it's certainly going to be fantastic racing in the NGK South African Superbikes combined with our Bridgestone Superbikes. Garrick Flock will be looking to put these Bridgestones to the test and give Clint Seller a run for his money. It's basically Garrick's home circuit here. He does a lot of his development and testing at the circuit and gets it all right, and looks like it's going this way this weekend. And he could potentially be at the hunt in the front end for the 1000cc's. Watch out for a big return of David McFadden after some disappointing rounds. And let's catch up with Sifiso Temba, who stepped up to Nationals.
Actually, this weekend I'm looking forward to the race. The bike feels good. They've done some work on it, and it feels much better. So I'm excited to go for it and see what I can do. Yeah, I mean, to finish the last there, it's a lot of work. But I hope I'll finish all the hits and on pace.
Another man who makes a welcome return after a big crash is Blaze Baker.
Yeah, you know, it's obviously great to be back on the bike, fully recovered now, so looking to, you know, just be out here today and put laps on the bike. I mean, I've only done one full race on the bike, and I want to be competitive, but first we got to get the bike dialed, get myself dialed with 1,000, and then we'll attack.
From 1000s to 600s, and another man who had a big crash at Swartkops was Dino Oyotso. Let's find out what his plans are for today.
Feeling great for this weekend. Unfortunately, we did have a crash on the Wednesday at Swartkops, which resulted in a broken collarbone. But 6 weeks later, we're back and we are strong as ever. So definitely looking forward to this race weekend coming up. I think I'm a little far behind this championship this year. So we're just going to try to play it safe, get the back-to-back wins, hopefully, and just have an awesome weekend.
Bridgestone tyres are now fitted. The NGK spark plugs are being tightened, and we're ready to go. We'll see you after the break for race 1. There's a future Superbike man in the making, and certainly a man who's going to be at the front end very soon as we get ready to go now for race 1 in the NGK South African Superbike Series. As we mentioned, those Bridgestone tyres are now being taken out of the tyre warmers as they line up on the grid. We're going to be looking forward to action aplenty here as we get into the thick of it for the first time at Redstar Raceway. Coming to the line, a big battle expected between the Yamahas at the front end. Garrick Flock and Seller will be pushing hard. McFadden didn't quite get the qualifying he wanted. He starts from the second row of the grid, and off the line, Damien Purificati looking to go as well, as fast as he can. We're on board here with McFadden as they go into turn 1. Has he made up a couple of positions? Looks like he might have. Oh, he gets a little bit squirrely, and looks like he might have gone side by side there with the Oyotso. Dino Oyotso getting a phenomenal start down into turn 1. We're looking back into Purificati's eyes as they go into turn 2, and it's a great start there from Blaze Baker as well. Oyotso did get through there on McFadden. There's confirmation of it as they come out of turn 3 into turn 4. Little 600cc will have the squirt now, but on the back straight and on the short straight, that's where we may see McFadden just use that little bit extra power coming out of the 1000. Look at the top two though, already some mixing and matching between Seller and Flock. Garrick Flock looking for an inside, maybe going to get those tyres up to full temperature before he has a go here at Seller. But Evil Knievel has definitely got his work cut out for him as Garrick Flock comes flying down the short straight into turn 6. And late braking coming out of the DCS machine as he comes under braking behind that big exhaust pipe coming out of the back end of Seller's bike. They flick over onto the right hand side and start the dog bone section for the first time, and Seller controlling things right now. Blaze Baker in third place on the Kawasaki. He's in third place all on his own by the looks of things, because Oyotso is keeping McFadden at bay. David McFadden has always said this is not his favourite circuit, but he has to come here to race this championship and still try and stay in the hunt. And in fact, it looks like he might have fallen back into the clutches there of another rider. Yes, looks like Riccardo Otto and Luca Bertolini starting to put the pressure onto McFadden. Well, a great start coming out of Purificati as well on the BMW. Remember, he's being helped out by Gene, the guy who used to work with Lance Isaacs Racing, so certainly knows what to do to get a BMW up to pace, but it's not quite up to the pace of the front end. However, at this stage, he leads the Bridgestone Superbikes. Here's the top three heading towards the final corner. Some chopping and changes. McFadden comes up on the inside, and Iotso's very late on the brakes. He's going to squeeze out McFadden. Brilliant stuff there from Dino Iotso. Getting into the chicane, the Bridgestone chicane there over McFadden. McFadden is not loving life at the moment. The RPM Centre and Stunt SA bike absolutely not in control. And there, just eventually squeezes past. The frustration must be huge from David McFadden's point of view. He's got a Bridgestone Superbike ahead of him in the form of Purificati now, and he's losing lights by linear time there as they go into turn 2. King Price Extreme Bike of Iotso all over the back of him and hounding him for that position to return the favour. Little 600 giving him a good run for his money. The 2000s at the front. Ooh, Sella on the back wheel. That's not normally what we see out of Clinsella. Having to put the accelerator down hard there to keep out the attack coming from Garrick Flock. And Flock means business. He's all over the back of Sella looking for opportunities and forcing potential mistakes out of Clinsella as they get onto the short straight. Behind the bubble and eyes down, everything they got down into turn 6. Late braking. Yo, how late do you want to be there, Clinsella? I think he went past the 25 meter mark before he climbed on the anchors and turned into turn 6. The hairpin tightens up on you, then it opens up slightly and then into left-hand flick before the dog bone. And here comes Flock. He's on his tail and applying the pressure. But Sella is the king at soaking up pressure. There's no doubt about it. Evil Knievel knows exactly what to do in this kind of position. Normally what we see from him is he'll get away and control things with a little bit of a margin. But Flock is not letting him get away here at his home circuit. McFadden now under pressure still there from Iotso. Just behind that you can see Ricardo Otto closing in there on the second 600. And looks like he may be in contention for a championship here if he can keep it all together and hopefully stay upright. Iotso definitely looking to stay upright after the dismay he had at Zwartkops. Little look over the shoulder there from Garrick Flock. I'm not quite sure he's looking back to see where Blaze Baker is. The Kawasaki's good, but it's not quite as good as the two Yamahas here at Redstar Raceway. But it is fantastic to have the Banana Boy back in it. Late braking, a little bit of sideways there from Garrick Flock, and he closes once again onto the tail of the King Price Extreme Bike and Sella Racing Yamaha of Clinsella. Purificati hangs on ahead of McFadden. McFadden ahead of Iotso, and then Otto. Otto at this point in time got a little bit of a margin over Luca Bertolini, who's second place at this stage in the Bridgestone Superbikes. And there's a good battle just further back there between Ian Thomas and Saviso Temba. Top 3 coming out of turn number 4 into 5. This is a fantastic structure as McFadden just doesn't seem to have an answer. There's going to be a lot of work to be done there between the heats for David McFadden to get back up to pace. It's not easy at all when you're in these kind of situations where you go to circuits that are not suited to your riding style, or you just have that little bugbear on your shoulder that you can't get around certain aspects of a racetrack, and that's exactly what David McFadden finds here at Redstar Raceway. Flock closing on Sella on the DCCS and Shop 74 Yamaha. It's a good battle between the two of these guys, and remember, it's sort of been up and down for both of them. They've both had some great rides. They've also had some terrible finishes. And to try and close down on David McFadden, remember, Sella came into this round of the championship just ahead of McFadden. McFadden now could be losing oodles of ground here to Flock, and it's going to be a 3-horse battle into the final stages of this 2020 season. One man notably missing from the front end of this battle is Lance Isaacs, who will be riding in the Moto America series very soon. But he's definitely missing from this one, and he would be loving life in this kind of a battle. The two Yamahas getting away ever so slightly there from Blaze Baker. Remember, Blaze Baker has only had about 190 laps on 1000cc in his whole life, and that mostly was at Desi's Raceway. So here at Redstar, a little look over the shoulder again. Oh, problems here. That's not good. Purificati having a bit of an issue, and that is going to drop him right out of contention for the Bridgestone Superbike victory. He was leading by a comfortable margin. We're on board here with Brett Roberts as they head down the back straightaway. Brett Roberts third place in the 600cc's on the lights by linear machine. And have a look, there you go, a little bit extra power and probably a little bit of advantage on power to weight ratio from Nicole van Asvierken on the Ducati. That's a big Ducati for a little lady to be riding, but having a great battle here with the lights by linear bike of Brett Roberts. Further back, as I mentioned, Safiso Temba, the second of the King Price bikes, having a fantastic battle here with Ian Thomas. The two of them stepping up to Bridgestone Superbikes for the very first time this season, and they're loving life. They might not be at the front end, but they're still having an incredible battle like they used to in Bridgestone Challenge. Here comes Brett Roberts now looking for an opportunity to get through here on Nicole van Asvierken. Van Asvierken just pushing it to the limit and running a little bit wide. Roberts up the inside. Oh, there could be a touch. Yes, there is. I was going to say Roberts is not going to make that one stick. He's trying to get up the inside of Nicole van Asvierken as she tried to lift the bike up. You can see Roberts running over to make sure Nicole's okay. And she's going, what were you thinking, bud? No, let me just walk away from you. I'll speak to you later. Come see me in the pit lane. Oh, Brett Roberts, that's a big, big pity. As he came up the inside there, here's the replay courtesy of NGK Spark Plugs. Roberts on the inside, tries to squeeze through. Nicole comes up and he just goes straight into the side of her. There's no room there at all. And unfortunately, both of them ending out of the race. But okay, that's the most important factor. back to the front with only a couple of laps to go, and it's going to be a big fight now from Garrick Flock. He is going to apply more pressure than he has all race long to try and get through there on the number 1. Is that number 1 plate going to stay on Kinsella's bike as he leads the championship? Yellow flags coming into this section because of the crash. And now onto the final lap, you can see Garrick Flock is looking for chances. He'll have to wait until they get the green flag. It'll be just past this point. That's where the 2 riders went down. So Flock now could get good drive down the short straight. Can he get up the inside? Oh, he can't. He runs wide and puts it on the dirt. That should be enough. That little mistake there from Garrick Flock will probably cost him the chance of getting through on Kinsella. Sella looks so good at the front though. He is such a king, as I say that, and I say that with the pun intended, at commanding things from the front end of a race. And although Flock has tried hard and the gap has closed down, it's gone like a concertina, back and forth, and unfortunately he just hasn't found a way through. But he's looking now as they go into the exit of the dog bone. And watch for the drive. He might just try the inside line. He's tried it on a few occasions through this little right-hand flick and left-hand flick. They come out of the right-hander. Watch him try and square it up and go through. Now, as they come through the left-hander, he's going to try and squeeze it up into the double right, onto the back straight, but he's not close enough. So close, but just so far there for Garrick Flock. And I think that bite me enough for Sella to hang on. It's 3 bike lengths onto the back straight. They don't have a push to pass. They've only got what's left underneath that right wrist. And I think Sella's done it all right. He's controlled things from the front. He's soaked up the pressure. He hasn't made any mistakes. They come down into the Bridgestone chicane for the last time. Clint Sella is going to take the first victory of the day here for the NGK Superbike Series. Cross the line at Sella, but right on his tail to the tune of about maybe a couple of hundredths of a second there. Garrick Flock in second. That was a fantastic fight at the front. Pity we didn't have the other 2 riders involved in that one, but Baker will certainly be happy with the 3rd place on his return to the 1000cc category. So let's get confirmation of those results. Sella taking it ahead of Garrick Flock in the 1000cc class, beating out Blaze Baker. Dino Iozzo winning out the 600cc's, but down in 4th place overall, and David McFadden just behind him. Otto taking 2nd ahead of Bertolini, who wins out Bridgestones. Let's catch up with Brett Roberts after this incident.
We just had a little bit of a racing incident on turn 5 with Nicole. I went a bit too far on the inside and she drifted a bit outside, and at the end we just touched each other and crashed. That's all that happened.
From the 0 to the hero of the 600s, let's catch up with Dino.
Fought very tough with David and Damien. Unfortunately, Damien took a crash and McFadden ran off, but it was a good race overall. Definitely need to stay hydrated for the next race. Well, I was tired on that, but glad to take some points home this weekend. Hopefully we get the double win in the next race.
Bridgestone Superbike winner Bertolini, what a good ride from him.
Conditions weren't too bad. It's been a lot better than yesterday. This morning was also fairly good. Just glad to bring the bike back in one piece. Pace wasn't too great, but it was a good race. Finished the race and I think overall first in the BSB, so it's not too bad.
Let's catch up with our overall winner, Clint Sella, on the King Price Extreme Yamaha.
I think, to be honest, the hand was a little bit tender, but not really a problem. It seems we've got a challenge with the front end. From this morning, we have absolutely no front end grip. It feels like I'm riding on ice as I turn the bike, and it like falls into the apex. So, man, I just braked really late everywhere. And I was watching the times. We were super slow, but it looked like no one could outbrake me. So, 25 points, that's what counts. And Steve Cannon will make it all better for the second heat, I'm sure.
Welcome back to Redstar Raceway and action from the NGK South African Superbike Series combined with the Bridgestone Superbikes. Race 2 about to happen, and down in the pit lane some frantic activity, particularly down at McFadden and Brett Roberts' team. They've got to sort out Roberts' bike and get McFadden's to work a bit better. Before we get into Race 2 action, we head across to Bryanston to catch up with Fired Up, one of our sponsors, and Craig Langton, the big boss man.
Well, previously we had the business separated and we were running out of space, so we looked for new premises last year and we were blessed to find these premises, and it's really been very, very good to us. It's been fantastic. Customers, I think, are loving the environment, from accessories to the fire diner. There's a great place to relax, watch MotoGP, and of course we've got more space for more range, so we're doing off-road bikes now as well, and the floor is full of all road bikes as well. for us, it's very important, whether it's charities or whether it's racing. We love to give back to the community that supports us so well. It's great always whenever I'm out and about, people know Fire It Up, and it's really important for us to continue that. And I mean, just last weekend we supported a charity, and we're always getting involved. But superbike racing, I think, is really important for the industry, and it's something we like to give back to.
Great to see the motorcycle industry getting behind National Superbike Racing again. And why would you not want to be behind National Superbike Racing with the kind of action we've seen here at Redstar Raceway? It's about to kick off for race number 2 now. Stand by for those lights and all the action down into turn 1. Watch out for Baker to try and get a better start. McFadden certainly needs to do a lot better here from the second row. Let's see if that R1 gets off the line nicely. It does. He heads side by side with Baker, but Baker's got a little bit of squeeze on him heading into turn 1, and it's Garrick Flock who gets the whole shot. Great move there as he gets on the inside and follows through. It's 4,000s, 1, 2, 3, and 4 on track as they head towards turn 2. McFadden looking for a way early onto the inside of Blaze Baker, but Baker just keeping him at bay for this stage as they come down into turn 3. The RPM centre bike now looking for a chance to squeeze through, but you can see just how hard Baker is going to work now to keep out the attentions of 4th place David McFadden. Good start coming out of Purificati once again. He's now into the 5 spot, so it's 5,000s at the front end, just ahead of, looks like, no, in fact, Dino Yotso just squeezing him out and making it a 600cc into 5th place as Purificati gets the motor down 1 coming out of turn 4. Now onto the short squirt. Here we go, a little bit extra power from the 1,000. That should get him past Yotso, but Yotso will be good on the brakes and be able to carry the corner speed with that 600cc. Now as they come into the left-hander, it's a tight one. It just tightens up on you all the time. We're on board here with Brett Roberts. Great job there from McFadden's team to get this bike back up and running. And this is a fantastic shot, actually. Look at that. You can actually see the NGK spark plug working at the back end of that motorcycle. Big exhaust pipe there and loving life, having a chance to get back into race number 2 there for Brett Roberts. He's just on the back end of Otto, and the two of them fighting hard for 3rd place and 2nd, and possibly a championship, remember, for Ricardo Otto. But look at the front end here. It's Garrick Flock opening up a great margin over Clint Seller. Seller doesn't seem to have an answer. Blaze Baker sitting in 3rd place with a little bit of pressure from McFadden, but it's not quite the pressure he would have expected, particularly after McFadden's good start to the season. He was a championship leader at one stage, and coming into this round, he just lost the championship lead to Seller, and he's losing more ground now as Seller makes his way up the road and possibly into 1st. Late braking, very late braking out of David McFadden. Extremely late braking out at Otto. Look at Otto lighting it up into the Bridgestone chicane, closing on Yotso. Yotso looks back over his shoulder. He knows he made a mistake there, and that could possibly have cost him. Yotso definitely had a big one going into the Bridgestone chicane and had to sort it all out, but he managed to stay upright and stay in the lead. But it's Otto all over the back of him. Speaking of all over the back, Baker has got some big intentions being shown now by the man from Cape Town. And that RPM Centre and Stunt SA bike is looking very, very dangerous. On the tail comes Damien Purificati, and Purificati looking good too. There's 2nd place in the Bridgestone Superbikes. That's our first race winner, of course, Luca Bertolini. But he's now got to try and get up the road and catch Damien Purificati. Onto the short straight, and once again, looking over the shoulder. In fact, I think Garrick Flock just let Seller through there. Garrick Flock just said, you know what, I'm not comfortable at the front here. I'd rather have a look and have a go later on. You lead the way, Seller. I'll follow you for a bit. And that's not a bad strategy to have, but if you give Seller a little bit more room or you make a mistake, Seller will make you pay drastically. And you can see that's not going to be what Garrick Flock wants to do. Last 1 minute 55 coming out of Garrick Flock there, as you can see on the graphic. But he's pushing it to the limit now as they go through into the exit of the dog bone. And speaking of the limits, well, he's putting the limit of his bike onto the back end of Seller, and Seller has to soak up the pressure again. You know how good he is at that. Can he keep it all together now for the next couple of laps? Because Seller definitely wants to head into the final round of this championship with the lead, and certainly a chance to maintain and retain the number 1 plate. Now as they head down that back straightaway, look at that. Everything you've got on 1,000cc. Probably going to be close to the 270k an hour mark for those front 5 bikes. About the 260, 265 mark for the 600s. And still Yotso hanging on ahead of Otto. Otto seeming to have a little bit of issues there under braking, particularly for this little section. But he closes in and looks for a chance now to get through on his rival there, Dino Yotso. Plus the line, the first 5 R1000s, as I said, the first 3 and 4 bikes are pushing it to the limit and trying to get away now. But one thing you got to take into account, of course, is Damien Purificati is not in the national class. He's in the Bridgestone Superbike class, but he's running with nationals. This is once again a phenomenal shot here of Brett Roberts' rear end, looking at that NGK spark plug Olin's suspension as he gets it into turn 2. And this time, unfortunately, Nicole van Osviken didn't make it out to come and play with him. Her bike was a little bit too much damage on it to get back up and riding, but she'll be back real soon to come and play here with Brett Roberts and the Bridgestone Superbike category. NGK's Superbike series has been phenomenal, and Sella has had ups and downs, so has Flock. We mentioned that in race number 1. Can Flock try and squeeze him out now into the closing stages here of race 2? Or is it going to be Sella to control things from the front end again? Garrick Flock led him through. Will he rue the day that he did that? Speaking of ruining the day, ruining the weekend is David McFadden. He is not loving life here at Redstar Raceway, and this is the championship falling by the wayside and out of his hands. Something has gone wrong here on McFadden's bike. As you can see, coming down on the braking point, he went for brakes. There's no brakes at all. He runs wide onto the grass, and I think that is going to be the end of the race weekend there for David McFadden. There's a very good possibility he'll be pulling into pit lane and out of this one. And there he is, into the pit lane now and out of this championship as well as the race. That is not what the RPM centre man wanted. Back to the front, Sella leads comfortably at this point in time, and I don't know if Garrick Flock can close that gap down with only probably a couple of laps to go now for the two of them. As they come into the closing stages, Garrick Flock gets great drive out of the chicane to close back up. I was going to say, it looked like Garrick Flock was too far away, but under braking, he just closes on Sella. He knows he's running out of time and he's got to get back ahead. He's given Sella enough time at the front. He needs some time on his own. No, he's made a mistake. He runs wide out of turn number 1 there and onto the short straight between 1 and 2. That's enough space there for Clinsella to dictate and dominate from here on out. I don't know if Garrick Flock can close that gap down again. He's going to try hard, but he's not going to be able to do it that easily. Not with Sella at the front. And see just how hard the guys are working on the sidelines as well. All of our media guys. No spectators yet. We're looking forward to welcoming spectators back in the very near future if everything goes according to plan. But we'll have to keep our eyes and ears on the media for all of that too. And make sure that we don't make any mistakes, of course. And mistakes can be made, as they always are, in this part of the race. Sella's not doing that right now. He comes down under braking. Ooh, a little bit of a twitch on the back end of that bike as they come into turn 6. Sella now putting... Oh, Sella set up! Wow! Garrick Flock just went right over the tailpiece. His elbow going over the tailpiece, and Sella's got a problem. That is Garrick Flock now gifted the victory. And if they can keep it all together, that is. But something has gone wrong dramatically there for Clint Sella. Something has broken on that motorcycle. It could be a fueling issue. He stopped the bike to try and get it restarted, but you can see he's on the sideline just on the exit of turn 6. He's pulled onto the left-hand side, so he's out of harm's way. He's not on the race line, but he can't get it started. There's a big problem there for Clint Sella, and it was a lap, or half a lap to go. Garrick Flock looks over his shoulder going, hang on a second, where did he go? He was right there. I went over the top of him. I thought he'd keep coming. He's looking back into Blaze Baker's eyes, which is almost a K away, on the Kawasaki, and Iyotso is up into 3rd. This is a massive turnaround here with the last part of the race coming across the line. It's Garrick Flock to take the checkered flag. Blaze Baker's going to get 2nd place. He'll be ecstatic with that, but he definitely doesn't want to win it out when Clint Sella has a problem on the sideline. Needless to say, you've got to be in it to win it, and that's exactly what Garrick Flock was, as he takes the victory there in the 1000cc's, beating out Blaze Baker. And the 600cc's goes to Iyotso in 3rd overall, and Purificati taking the Bridgestone Superbikes ahead of Bertolini. Great racing here at Redstar Raceway.
Launching the BM's a huge problem. As you know, I'm sure you've ridden one. So I just do my little robot start. And unfortunately, race 1, I had good pace. And because of my terrible start, I pushed a bit too hard, tucked the front, and then I fixed the bike and everything, but unfortunately race 2 I also had very good pace, and then the pipe came off and the bike just got so hot, and I think it was blowing hot air onto the tire and just started spitting me out of every turn. So I probably dropped about 2 seconds a lap. I think unfortunately Sella's bike broke, so that's probably why I'm here. But it was a great race. I mean, Blaze Baker kept me on my toes, and to the next one was awesome. Thanks to AJ Fenter, Andre Fenter, Noddy, my family for supporting me, my crazy wife for getting me into this sport, and thank you very much, guys.
Double win in the 600s for Dino Iyotso and the King Price team.
Definitely, what an insane ride. I can't believe it's happened. We put our heads down this weekend and we tried our best, and fortunately it paid off. We got back-to-back wins in our 600 class and a 3rd overall for the whole day in the 1000, so as much as we love it, it's great.
First win in National 1000cc's for Garrick Flock, and he'll take the overall victory as well.
I wanted Clinton Sella to lead the race, It just made it easier for me to follow him where he brakes, I brake, so I don't make silly mistakes at the front. And yeah, I just wanted to follow him to the end, see where he's making mistakes in that, and then try and pass him towards the end. I got behind him into the hairpin on the last turn and his bike cut out. Would have liked to have beaten him, fair and square, but it's still my first win and I'm happy.
Down in pit lane, we managed to catch up with Shannon van der Putte from NGK Sparkplugs.
NGK is very proud to be part of the event once again. We're very happy with how things turned out. Obviously, it's awesome once we have spectators here again. It will make a big difference, the energy in the crowd. But I think it's just going to go from strength to strength. We're really, really impressed with everything. Thumbs up to everyone in the event. Yeah, great stuff.
50 points still up for grabs, and there's a 50-point split between Sella, McFadden and Flock, so any one of those three can take the national championship in the thousands. Otto still with a chance of the 600s, and Dino Otso will try and close him down at the final round. A big thanks to Taisika for all the sponsorship of the trophies here this weekend at Redstar Raceway. There's your Bridgestone Superbike podium. 600cc's, very good riding from these youngsters. And look out for a big battle between those three riders and probably McFadden at the final round as we look at the NGK Superbike podium. Who is going to have the rainbow shine over them at Aldo Scaranti on the 31st of October? We will be there to bring you all the action. We'll see you soon. All this action from the SA SPK series is proudly brought to you by NGK Sparkplugs, Bridgestone Tyres, and Rapid Bike Tuning.